Okoro knew hardship like the back of his calloused hand. He toiled under the unforgiving sun, coaxing meager crops from the parched earth. Each day was a silent struggle, a testament to his resilience against the relentless grip of poverty. His clothes, tattered and worn, mirrored the state of his weary soul. Yet he held on to hope, a flicker in his tired eyes. Hope for a brighter tomorrow, a life free from the shackles of destitution. Okoro had a wife, Amina, her beauty veiled by worry lines etched deep by hardship. Together, they shared a love as pure as it was tested. Their mud brick hut, though humble, echoed with laughter, their shared dreams a beacon in the darkest nights. They yearned for a life where their children wouldn't inherit their struggles, a life where their laughter wouldn't be choked by the dust of poverty. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in hues of despair and fleeting hope, Okoro stumbled upon an oddity. A glint of gold amidst the roots of a baobab tree, ancient and gnarled. It was a sculpture, small and ornately crafted, of a deity unknown. Fear warred with curiosity as he reached out, his fingers trembling to pick it up. Little did he know this was no ordinary find. It was a harbinger of change, a sinister twist of fate. Its voice a sibilant hiss that slithered through his dreams, reminding him of the terrible price of his good fortune. The voice was relentless, a haunting presence that he could not escape no matter how hard he tried. The air grew thick with suspicion, heavy with unspoken accusations. The village, once a place of unity and shared stories, now buzzed with an undercurrent of fear and mistrust. Every glance, every hushed conversation seemed to carry the weight of 1,000 doubts. Okoro, once a part of the village's fabric, now stood apart, isolated by his wealth and the chilling rumors that clung to him like a shroud. His newfound riches, instead of bringing joy, had cast a shadow over his existence. The villagers, who once greeted him with warmth, now turned their backs, their whispers growing louder with each passing day. He was a stranger in his own home, a pariah in the land where his ancestors were laid to rest. The graves of his forebears, once a source of pride and connection, now seemed to mock him with their silent judgment. The village paths he had walked since childhood felt foreign, each step echoing with the ghosts of his past. Tales of Okoro's nocturnal activities began to circulate. The villagers, with their vivid imaginations, painted pictures of dark rituals and forbidden pacts. Under the cover of night, when the world was cloaked in shadows, they claimed to see him moving with a purpose that sent chills down their spines. Villagers whispered of seeing him disappear into the heart of the forbidden forest at the stroke of midnight, returning only as the first rooster crowed, his clothes damp with dew and his eyes glazed over with an unholy light. The forest, a place of mystery and danger, seemed to hold secrets that only Okoro dared to uncover. They spoke of chanting emanating from his house, a chilling symphony that sent shivers down their spines and made their blood run cold. The melodies, foreign and haunting, seemed to seep through the walls, wrapping the village in a blanket of dread. Each night the sounds grew louder, more insistent, as if calling out to something beyond the realm of the living. The most disturbing rumors centered around the village graveyard, a desolate place shrouded in an oppressive silence. The air there was thick with the weight of unspoken words and unfinished business. The villagers avoided it, their fear palpable, as if the very ground could pull them into its depths. Shadows danced in the flickering lamplight, and the wind carried whispers of forgotten conversations. The village, once alive with the sounds of daily life, now seemed to be a place where the past and present collided, creating an atmosphere of perpetual unease. It was said that Okoro was seen kneeling before a particular grave, his head bowed in supplication, his lips moving in silent communion with the dead. The sight of him, so vulnerable and desperate, added fuel to the fire of speculation. What secrets did he share with the departed? What sins was he seeking to atone for? Fear, like a venomous serpent, coiled around the heart of the village. It slithered into every home, every conversation, poisoning the minds of the villagers. The once tight-knit community was now fractured, each person wary of the other, their trust eroded by the pervasive sense of dread. Parents pulled their children close at his approach, their eyes wide with terror. The innocence of youth was overshadowed by the fear of the unknown. The children, sensing the tension, clung to their parents, their eyes reflecting the collective anxiety of the village. Once vibrant conversations ceased abruptly, replaced by an uneasy silence that screamed louder than any accusation. The market, the heart of the village's social life, was now a place of hushed voices and furtive glances. The air was thick with the weight of unspoken fears and the heavy burden of suspicion. Okoro, trapped in the gilded cage of his own making, found himself longing for the simplicity of his former life, the comforting embrace of poverty over the chilling isolation of his ill-gotten wealth. His luxurious home, filled with the trappings of success, felt more like a prison with each passing day. The echoes of his past, the laughter and camaraderie of simpler times, haunted him, a constant reminder of what he had lost in his pursuit of fortune. The golden deity, once a source of awe and fear, now held Okoro captive in its web of power. This deity, revered and feared by many, had become the center of Okoro's existence, a force that dictated his every move and thought. It whispered promises of unimaginable wealth, of a life beyond his wildest dreams. These whispers were seductive, painting vivid pictures of opulence and grandeur that Okoro had never dared to imagine. But with each passing day, the whispers grew more demanding, the requests more sinister. What started as gentle nudges soon became insistent commands, each one more unsettling than the last. What began as offerings of food and livestock escalated to the sacrifice of prized possessions, items imbued with sentimental value and steeped in memories. These were not just objects, they were pieces of Okoro's past, fragments of his identity that he was forced to relinquish. Okoro's wealth, once a source of pride, now felt like a curse. The riches that had once brought him joy and respect now seemed to mock him, a constant reminder of the price he had paid. His once bright eyes were now clouded with despair, his heart heavy with guilt and fear. The weight of his choices bore down on him, making each day a struggle to endure. He had traded his soul for material comfort, and the price of that bargain was slowly draining the life out of him. The comfort he had sought was now a prison, each luxury a shackle that bound him tighter. He was a puppet dancing to the tune of a malevolent entity, his every move dictated by fear and desperation. The deity's control over him was absolute, leaving him no room for resistance or defiance. The entity's demands grew increasingly disturbing, pushing Okoro further down a path he dreaded. Each new command was a step deeper into darkness, a journey from which there seemed no return. He was forced to perform rituals that chilled him to the bone, chanting ancient words of power that made his skin crawl. These rituals were not just acts of devotion, they were acts of submission, each one a testament to the deity's hold over him. Each ritual left him drained, a hollow shell of the man he once was. The energy and vitality that had once defined him were now replaced by a deep, pervasive emptiness. The guilt gnawed at his conscience, amplified by the terrified whispers of the villagers and the fear that flickered in Amina's eyes. He could see the suspicion and dread in their faces, a constant reminder of the path he had chosen. One night the entity made its most horrifying demand yet. The air was thick with tension, the night filled with an ominous silence that seemed to foretell the horror to come. It demanded a human sacrifice. It demanded Amina. The very thought of losing her, of being the cause of her death, was more than Okoro could bear. The very thought sent shivers down Okoro's spine. His mind raced with fear and desperation, his heart pounding with a terror he had never known. He was trapped, caught in a web of his own making, and the only way out seemed to be through the ultimate sacrifice. The realization was a crushing weight, a burden that threatened to break him completely. Okoro stood at the precipice of a decision that would define his fate, torn between the love he had for Amina and the unyielding grip of the deity that controlled him.